brought to you by Odyssey Resorts and their facility, Larsemont Cottages. If you are looking for peace and tranquility or a launch pad for North Shore, Minnesota adventures, but not your typical hotel, Larsemont Cottages on Lake Superior is the place to celebrate the immense beauty and scale of our planet's greatest lake, Lake Superior. Larsemont Cottages is tucked away in 40 acres of private woods just south of Two Harbors, Minnesota, and this location combines a Northwoods experience with 1,300 feet of beachfront shoreline. To me, one of the golden nuggets of Larsemont Cottages is their wood-burning sauna. The sauna, if you check in, unrehearsed, the folks behind the counter will tell you about the facility, the Ledge Rock Grill, some of the amenities around, the bikes, different games, fire pits, available to all guests. And then they will casually say, and our 24-hour sauna is open for you. And this is wood burning. And the staff there is well trained on the operation of the wood burning sauna stove at Larsemont Cottages. It's my place to go if I'm going to suggest having meetings with out-of-town guests that dig sauna. There's nothing better than checking in to your lodge and then grabbing a towel and heading out to the village sauna nestled right along the shores of Lake Superior. I love it. Larsemont Cottages. Check it out. Well, greetings and welcome to another episode of Sauna Talk, and I'm here with
Kyle Wilson,
David Wilson,
Stuart Wilson,
and the Wilson brothers and father. Stu's the dad. And where did you guys come in from, and where are we sitting right now? David.
Yeah, we came in from Vancouver, BC, and we are, me and Kyle are the owners of Homecraft manufacturing.
Right on. And Kyle, tell listeners a little bit about your background, like, and how you ended up back in Vancouver.
Oh man, well, so we grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, West Coast, Pacific Northwest. I ended up living overseas for 14 years, so I lived in Nicaragua, in Central America, and actually only moved back to Vancouver 2.5 years ago. So, it was home for a long time, and then moving overseas, and then reconnecting at home just over the past couple of years, and just taking a change in life again.
Mm-hmm. And did you move down to Nicaragua because of the robust sauna culture down there?
Yeah, it's a permanent sauna culture down there. So it's a permanent humidity, and there wasn't much of a sauna culture, to be honest, but I was doing mission work down there for 14 years, and living life there with my wife, who's from Vancouver as well. We have 4 kids, and then it was time to go back to Vancouver and start raising our kids back at home.
Beautiful job. And how old are your kids?
11, 9, 7, and 3.
And David, yours?
Mine are 7, 5, and 2. Esme just turned 2.
And staying with both you guys, running a business in the world of sauna, how do you balance being a dad, father, family life with these ages, hands-on kind of thing? Is it tricky? Do you have good balance? Tell us a little bit about your day in the life.
Who's quantifying good balance versus bad balance? But we're trying to have good balance. So my boys are both in sports right now. My youngest, she's only 2, so she's not there yet. But yeah, it's tough when you're trying to manage and grow a business and keep your focus there. And it's been really important for myself and for Kyle to try and establish boundaries, so when we're at work, you're very focused, or as focused as you can, because life happens. But then when you go home, you shut off the email, you don't answer the texts that come in, and
unless they're
focus.
From me, though, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
4 in the morning.
Yeah, crazy.
No,
what time did you get up this morning, Kyle, and what was on your mind?
I woke up literally at 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., and sauna was on my mind because we were just, that's kind of what we're living and breathing right now.
Absolutely.
But I think balance comes, I think you need to establish balance well before you've ever taken over a business and are running it. And that's what you try and just instill, and it comes to values, priorities, some of the beautiful aspects of running your own business is you get to choose what type of balance you want and what type of company you want to run and where you want to take it, and in a lot of ways the beautiful aspect about sauna is it keeps you, balance is a part of that. So I remember one of my first conversations with a guy, a dealer, I think one of our dealers, and he said, "It's sauna, just relax, man."
Yeah, that's a great
It's like,
t-shirt.
okay, yeah.
Let's make that a
Just chill.
t-shirt. I love that. Beautiful job. Stu, I want to bring you into the fold, Stu, if I could. And for listeners, can you frame up for us, bringing it up to date? You know, you are probably, actually, if I were to put you on the spot, I mean, I can't think of too many more Canadians that have as much longevity in the space of sauna as yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of you relative to sauna for listeners?
Sure. I was working for a company. So in 1981, they purchased the Homecraft sauna division and brought it into their existing business, and that's when I got involved in sauna. At that time, the heater line was being redesigned and for the new CSA and new UL regulations that were coming in place, and so it was an exciting time.
But a challenging time because the UL restrictions were being constricted.
They were, yeah. So we, fortunately, my boss was a PhD in acoustical engineering, so he was a brilliant mind, and so we came out with the Homecraft new sauna line. I remember being there specifically during the testing. UL actually and CSA came into our facility and did the testing there in an approved testing unit.
And what year was that about?
That's 1981. Could have been the end of 80. I'm not sure, but
yeah. And those listening to Sauna Talk, Stu doesn't look his age. To know that you go back to sauna that far is quite impressive. I was just graduating in high school, and I'm no spring chicken. But if you could, to fast forward to today, this is a family business, and we don't have to get into unless you want. I mean, it was not a company you owned. You ran the sauna division, right? And then you got away from sauna for a little bit of time, but you're back in. Did I get that in a quick summary?
Yeah, pretty close. In 1988, myself and one of the former employees of the previous company, Spincraft, that owned the Homecraft sauna division, they were shutting down their business, and so the owner of Spincraft approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in purchasing the Homecraft sauna division?" And so I told him I'd get back to him, and I met with a couple of former employees, or one former employee at Spincraft, and we decided we'd purchase the Homecraft sauna division. So we purchased that, and we incorporated a company called Homecraft Manufacturing Corporation, and in 1988 we were manufacturing in Surrey, British Columbia, and that's our current line of sauna heaters is still the same line today. The control has changed. We went digital in 2001, but in about 92 I moved away from Homecraft and went on another business venture in the automotive aftermarket.
Yeah. And sauna came back into your life, or you brought sauna back to your life?
Yeah, I definitely brought sauna back to my life, but I built my first sauna.
In what year?
In 1983.
Yeah.
In our house. So my boys, they grew up around the sauna, and it was part of our life. It wasn't like a big part of our life, but it was part of our life, and always enjoyed the sauna. I've had 4 homes and had saunas in all of them. It's just part of my life. And
Beautiful. Taking things back to today, you guys are big on electric. We're sitting in a wood-fired sauna. Does it feel any different?
Yep. I would say well, it feels different and it smells different. Like it's actually, there's a compound thing there that I wasn't expecting when we first came in or hadn't really thought about. But yeah, it's there's a definite difference in this type of sauna experience where because of the rock capacity you have around the wood burner, and the ability to add moisture. So the ability to use the rocks and add moisture is something different than what you can do with an electric, which traditionally has only had, up until recently, has only had very shallow little rock baskets, like what our classic, the traditional one would have. We only have brought out our deep rock like within this last year, so it's just a different experience with the raising your humidity and the feel of it.
Yeah. If you want to dump water over your head, go ahead.
It's a nice soft heat, like it's a constant. But I wouldn't throw out the electric there, Glenn.
Absolutely. No, and that was a leading question, Kyle.
We'll reel it in. Right?
No, we're going to reel that right in, because the innovation that you guys have done with the Revive line warrants attention. And we can get very nerdy about that for listeners to Sauna Talk, but there's a few aspects to the electric Revive line that is replicable, I guess you could say, or comes forward, where you have this massive amount of rock, and then we talk about hot dry versus soft wet steam, and the ability to achieve that through a bigger rock mass heater that the Revive provides for bathers, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll just I'll give a little context. So for David and I, we were able to purchase Homecraft saunas in February, almost 2 years ago. And as soon as we took over, and some of the just objectives and things we could see is that we realized, so as a company who want to grow, and we've had a good footprint in Canada, we realized that what became pretty evident to me very quickly is that there's been a hole in North American manufacturing for electric sauna heaters. Like, there's a big hole. There hasn't been the innovation that's come in from Europe. There hasn't been the push to create something new. And the old heater is, will run to 90 or 194 Fahrenheit, and it has that kind of piercing heat. You can throw some water on the rocks, but it doesn't have that deep capacity. And so we wanted to create, just seeing what was out, seeing how sauna intelligence has changed and just knowledge. We wanted to create something that was more applicable to today's users, and that's why we took our time then to try and create a heater that would kind of tick off all these important boxes for us.
Yeah, well said. We talk about rock mass and the ability to create, this different types of steam for different type of users. And without getting too, call it political or salesmanship, because you guys are in the. Why would you, if someone's listening to this and looking at building their own sauna or buying a sauna kit or what have you, and they're kind of in this mode of shopping for electric sauna heater, why? What if you had to kind of summarize it in a top 2 or 3 things? Why would purchasing from a North America sauna producer, now I'll keep it a little neutral here, you're not Homecraft specifically, but why do you think it would be important for them to make that decision of purchasing North America made versus the stuff coming over on containers? Anyone want to take a stab, Dave?
Yeah, there's a couple things there. Probably the big one that jumps out at me is the support through the process of building a sauna. Is the education piece on saunas and sauna rooms and sauna building, like your platform is definitely changing that, but it has been limited, and people will maybe use a sauna and they want to buy their own, but they don't know how to get there. And so there's a lot of questions, and so us as a manufacturer, a local manufacturer, we're in charge of the control on our product. So then we can also optimize. We can tell you what's going to work in your space with our product. We know how our product
Perfect.
works.
Okay,
And
so that would be number one. It's
Yeah.
like this kind of like soup to nut advisement that you get hands on. When the phone rings, you guys answer, and
Yep.
it's not just, hey, our heater, and this is how you're an electrician, so we can talk about that. But it goes beyond just this wire goes there. The integration of where the heater goes within a hot room and how to design that hot room. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of. I mean, we're not the only ones that have a manual or have a installation practices, but we know how ours works because we have a testing facility.
And you sounded like crazy, and I can tell by the way you guys are handling the upper bench with me. Okay, so what would be a second reason of purchasing from North America, a North America maker, Stu?
I would say our quality. Our quality is consistent. We have the equipment to produce accurate every time, and we are a North American manufacturer, and the Homecraft sauna line's been manufactured in Canada since the 1970s. So that gives us a lot of credibility.
Well said.
And
longevity,
you can
consistency.
still get replacement parts.
Right
for
on.
Homecraft sauna heaters that were manufactured in the 1970s. And
That says a
sometimes
lot.
people are amazed.
Yeah. So that, I guess if I were to try to summarize that, would be like support after the sale. Like if you need elements or whatever, we know where you live.
Yeah, we're not hiding. We're not hiding behind multiple layers.
If I could jump in on a third reason, you guys want to cool or are you good? You guys sticking out?
I could use
Cool. I'll go out with you, Stu, and you guys follow. But if I could interject on a third reason, is that this innovation, like, we always talk about product innovation, but there's a few signature elements behind a Revive that are not available with other, call them European purchased sauna heaters. And Kyle, if you want to speak to one or two of the secret sauce behind the Revive line, I know others would be interested.
Yeah, the Revive was kind of my product. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When we purchased, we could see the hole that existed for just kind of outdated, great products, but outdated to maybe what the users now want in a sauna experience. So one of the things was creating a heater that met those needs, and then we could see what was already being done and see some of the issues that were coming up because of the construction of those builds. And so whether it's heat up time and efficiency, whether it's the breakdown of components, we tried to build a heater that would kind of tick off those boxes. So we built a protective inner chamber around the elements, because it's super costly when someone has to just go back and replace those elements.
Costly in both replacement part, but I would argue that as much of a pain as the idea of purchasing replacement elements and stuff is the time. Like and you had like 60, 70 years of experience through Stu and your father. So protecting those elements works double-fold in that your longevity of elements are extended, but if you do need to replace an element, you're not pulling out every rock, or how's
You'd
that?
still have to pull out the rocks, but the elements and the chamber has been protected so that you can more easily do so. And yeah, it was kind of those two things. We tried to build a heater that would heat up efficiently, get the heat into the rocks, so that the rocks are creating that thermomass heat that you can then pour the water on. And then just protecting, because we're all using more water now on our sauna heaters than they did 20 years ago. What's the best way to just kind of
allow that heat to escape but protect the elements. Are Homecraft elements going to burn out eventually? Yeah. Did we try our best to protect them and just do little things like that? Yeah, and those things we've seen make a really big difference in the experience. Like I'm super proud of. This isn't the sales pitch, but it's actually what I was most proud of is I think we're the first company in North America to produce a new heater line in years. And my hope wasn't that that's just something that we're going to fall back on. I want to create a more robust North American sauna manufacturing, culture and belief in that what we can produce and what we can build is good, and that we have more control when we're building things here, and we have more support, and we can really be proud of the sauna culture that we're beginning to build here.
Thank you. I'm full of analogies, and I look at the budding revolution of sauna, much like the craft brewing revolution. And if you were to push Stu, you and I are old enough. If you were to push your cart down the aisle of the liquor store and look at the beer selection as recently as 20 years ago, it seems like a long time ago, but it was really yesterday for guys like you and I. I mean, it was like domestic. Miller, Bud, Coors, and your country, Molson, Labatt, right? And then import. And the import is where you went for unique stuff. Like, did I get that right, Stu?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But look at that analogy and how that's changed so much. I mean, the craft brewing revolution has created innovation.
Yeah.
Quite frequently you see a new class of beer coming out, hazy IPA. Do you guys see this parallel in your day-to-day?
Absolutely. Even with in saunas, as the education becomes greater, I think that being a local to North America and understanding North American building code and what the requirements are from our local municipal governments, and as an electrician I had to deal with CSA all the time. You deal with your inspectors, and I'm an FSR, so that means I can even inspect electrical work. And it was really important that when you're analyzing what the sauna space is trying to adapt to our current building code, which is almost lacking behind, we're trying to innovate in a way so that they're going to try and regulate us, but also work with us so we can establish something that's actually useful and practical and helpful for people. Yeah. And so, I have my own trade knowledge, but I'm not unique in that sense. But there's a lot of people that want, the space needs an education. It needs to grow in that way.
As a certified electrician, I mean, share with us your professional background and history, just to put that in context. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was 18, I started my apprenticeship a few months out of high school, and I worked for a residential company, and then went into the commercial space
as an electrician.
And I worked for a commercial company doing towers in Vancouver, which has a lot of high rises going up, and I was with them for a couple different companies for a few years, and then I decided to go out on my own because I was running jobs for them, but I didn't have a great life balance. And so when I went out on my own, it was to try and achieve a better balance for me and my wife, because now I was married, and I knew when I had a family it was only going to get harder. And so then I built a small electrical company for 10 years and ran that, and the change that I noticed in our industry was that the municipalities and everything was starting to push their liability and responsibility of the product was moving from, it's not mine, so I don't have to worry about it. And it was like, no, you as the electrician are certifying that this is a safe, whatever, like lighting, everything was your responsibility. And so
from wire to equipment.
Everything. Yep.
Yeah,
Everything.
and that's a key change because that shifted the burden on the installer or the licensed electrician, and it shifted it away from the manufacturer.
Exactly. And so and I didn't have a problem with that because, I have no problem standing behind my work. Like, I know, and, if I didn't want to do something, I wouldn't do it. But now, as the manufacturer, now having bought Homecraft and you move into this space and being on this side where now you have control over the product actually hitting the market, and you want to build it in a certain way so that it's going to work amazingly and super efficient and all that, and then you get a little bit of pushback or no, that's not how the certification works for this, and you're dealing with different building codes. So in America, you have a slightly different building code than we have in Canada. So how does our product adapt to the American market versus and so there's just you're trying to figure out how you can make everything work together synergistically.
Well, if I could jump in, I think what you're getting at is you have empathy for your fellow brethren of electricians.
Yeah, because they're, as the electrician, you show up, you're expecting everything to be certified. You're expecting everything to be tested and approved and look great. And you don't have to think about it. You just put it in.
That's an assumption.
That's an assumption, because how could... You bought it from a place that's got a reputation and their liability and a warranty, and so that's just your assumption. And then somebody comes behind you and says, no, that's not, you're gonna have to rip that out, and you're like, what? But okay, now what do I do?
Right.
Or if something doesn't work,
and you're the bearer of bad news to the client,
to the client, that's like, oh, they're in love with this product they have, and then nope, that's got to come out.
So in the 10 years that you ran your own business, did you do any sauna installs? Any?
Yeah. So when I went out on my own, I ended up, my dad was he was with Homecraft running the sales, so he basically got me set up doing service calls, and then just through working with some of the other builders and locally, I ended up installing some, doing some sauna rooms doing the electrical for them, and then I did my own room at my own house. That would have been 5 years ago, and so then I you start meeting other people in the sauna space and start working with them.
Did you ever get called to travel to like Calgary or crazy places?
No, I stayed local in that sense. I didn't have to go too far. Well, I guess I went to around BC a bit. But.
I think of you as like the sauna in Canada, like the sauna electrician specialist that would go into special jobs.
Because you end up like I was not just servicing, say, Homecraft saunas. I would go in and see somebody else's product at Sauna King, Sauna Core. There's a lot of different brands you see around, and so it's like, okay, this isn't just the one I'm used to. Now I've got to adapt, and how does this one work? And can I get parts for this now?
And that leads me into the question I wanted to ask: is as an electrician, how many heater installs do you think you've done in your career? If you just had to throw a number, Stu's laughing. Man. Hey, Stu, how many jobs did you send him on over the decades? We're talking more than 20 and less than 2,000, or more than 2,000.
No, less than 2,000.
Okay, okay, so a big number.
But it would definitely be more than 100. I would say, that's like. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but I don't know what I'd have to go through my old books to look that up.
So putting in context the fact that you've done installs and service work on all the different electric heaters.
Yeah, not just Homecraft. Yeah.
Right, and so how much of your experience and knowledge went into the design of the Revive line from the wiring and electrical? I mean, did you have your hand in that?
Yeah. So when Kyle we kind of had our first drawings come in. Myself and our shop manager, we're very keen on that technical side of it. Like, how does it look? How are we going to make it different? And I think my biggest focus with the sauna, the heater, was I wanted it to be simple. It had to be simple because simple works, complicated breaks. And as the guy who has to go service it, the more complicated it gets with little bells and whistles and gadgets, I'm just going to end up servicing it and ripping it apart. So I didn't want that. So we ended up trying to keep the electrical components similar to our existing class heater that we knew worked, and we didn't really want to change that. But then we really tried to focus on how can we make the heater as efficient as possible so we don't get the high limit tripping, the nuisance tripping that drives people nuts. And how do we make it so it's safe? Because that is an important piece to an electric heater. It's that final safety switch. And you don't want to not have it, but you want it to work how it's intended, which is emergency.
And you guys have gone like way deep on this whole UL business.
We could nerd out on it.
Yeah, we could real nerd. I don't know how interesting that would be for listeners to Sauna Talk, but what I do find interesting is this. How do I want to say it? It's like this love-hate relationship with UL. I know things aren't always absolute or black and white, but I sense in talking to you guys a little bit that there's a little bit more love than hate, and respect, I guess, would be the word.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's a balance. It's a dance. It's a dance. I think we're all playing.
Yeah.
Do
you want some Anya tea, by the way? Oh, you want to wait for the next round? It's Stu. You call it Anya tea now or later?
Anya tea now.
Anya tea
Yeah,
now. This is respect and a shout out to this episode of Sauna Talk is sponsored by the Banya House in southern Metro Minneapolis, St. Paul. Dan and Anya at the Banya House, and Anya's special Anya tea. This is all natural. Hydrating tea, and available through banyahouse.com. I think that's what it is. So there's our sponsor right there. I am just a huge fan of Dan and Anya. They are such well-sold people in this space of sauna banya, and maybe next trip down we could go down to the Banya House and you get to meet Dan and Anya. They just recently had Banya Fest, like the first, and a first of several. It's just such a remarkable thing about this sauna, this thing we love, what we're talking about here, this sauna, and all of these like little factions that this is a cultural.
Yeah.
Banya is its own vein of cultural sauna sweat, and it's the Venic treatment, and I just like totally into it. Like you know where I'm going. Yeah. Is it? Have you guys been? Are you exposed to that aspect of sauna at all in your world?
I think what's happening, what we can see, probably Dad here, Stu, he would see it the best, is like the trends that are changing over time, and knowledge and popularity and that focus to learn sauna. That's happening. I would say that's happening in BC. That's happening in Vancouver area. We're seeing more type of kind of cultural public spaces to sauna. We're seeing more rental saunas come into play. Like it's really neat to as a manufacturer of heaters. Hey, we want our heater to sell, but as well we see this kind of growing interest in just sauna, and that's neat, and we can be a part of it, and we don't need all of it, and we can encourage, and we can collab, and we can see how this space is growing. That's really neat to see in North America.
Beautiful. Well said. Yeah, and part of these different factions and stuff, as you talk about, like the providing the sauna experience for others. Back to the whole craft brewing thing. It's like these brew pubs. I mean, each one has different character and vibe, and people's creativity and artistry comes out. Like I was in conversation just the other day with one of the business partners to the Sauna House down in, of all places, Asheville, North Carolina, where there's a budding sauna community, and there are other location just outside of Duke University in Raleigh, Durham, and stuff, and they're seeing artisans like really groove on this space. creative people, allowing the heat and the cold to foster forth more creativity, their creativity. And and so we're seeing it in many cultural applications, right?
And it's nice that there's as people, the education piece comes and people get excited about it. The excitement is building, and so you see, just like the craft brew, like in the West Coast, it had that massive explosion through Portland and Seattle and Vancouver. Now that's happening with the sauna space, where we get calls from all over the province, and then now we're getting calls from all over Canada, and it's people making inquiries and looking to how do they've maybe used one, or how do they get one, how do they, like, it's business inquiries, and it's people wanting to use the space but also make it part of their life.
Yeah. If I could, you want to hit another round, or
Let's hit another round.
Should we
round,
bring the conversation in the hot room,
Let's
or give
do
it
it.
a rest? You guys cool?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Yeah. Stu, you're the silent one of the bunch. I feel like as the host of Sauna Talk, I want to engage you a little bit, and I want to ask you specifically as we go back in.
Sure.
We're talking many decades of sauna experience for you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you seeing differently? Like, how, if you were to try to distill one or two differences of American sauna versus Canadian sauna, much like hockey.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Is there something that comes to mind, or one or two things of the different? Are there differences, or is it fairly comparable?
It's very comparable. I mean, whether you're a Canadian manufacturer or an American manufacturer, the certification is the same. So, we build our product to UL and just like you do in America, or would do in America.
And the culture similar? Backyard, indoor, public action?
Culture would be very similar. The outdoor sauna now, since COVID, post-COVID, has just exploded.
Yeah.
And
backyard electric. Well, first of all, do Americans or Canadians back check better?
I would say Canadians are a little more meat and potatoes with their back check. They would probably be better back checkers. But Americans got more flair. That's the thing.
Okay. So a lot of hockey players dig sauna. We know this. This is wow. You've sold Stu. You've sold saunas and heaters to hockey players.
I have, actually.
Yerky Lou.
But Kyle was in a photo shoot with Petri Skriko, who was a Finnish hockey player that played for the Vancouver Canucks. So that was through my sauna connections. A company in Vancouver, a sauna building company, Finnish guy. He wanted to have a new brochure, so he had Kyle in the photo shoot. And
I'm trying to distill what it is about, like baseball, little sauna action. Football, not but hockey. I have a hypothesis, but Kyle, why do you think hockey players dig sauna?
Ice and heat? No,
That's good. Yeah.
Ice and heat, and there's some good Finnish sauna Finnish players, so maybe they bring the culture in.
Yeah, man.
Right?
That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, for sure. Now you see it a lot of the hockey arenas and stuff, like in the NHL. They all have a sauna that they've put in, or two, for the players, just because of the Europeans that have come over. They all wanna.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this is great. Like, you guys, you're missing out, and so it's starting to move even in that way.
Yes, and well said. And there's an aspect to this also. It's not just the physical hot, cold, thermogenesis, contrast therapy, let's heal our muscles after a hard practice thing. There's something about the camaraderie that happens. Like, I know a few NHL guys pretty well and stuff, and it's not uncommon to have like the whole line, the three guys go in and sit on the bench and
And talk.
commiserate a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about the game and say, okay, like I'll meet you on the half wall or whatever.
They talk shop and
Talk
then just
shop.
talk family, and they it all kind of starts snowballing.
Well, isn't that's what happened with a change in sauna culture as well? Is like it traditionally was just that small little space for one or two people, but now you're seeing how we can interact more and bring friends in and sauna together, and it's not just I think with knowledge it used to be I need to sit for 50 minutes and kill myself and just get as hot as possible. And now, now you know that with knowledge and understanding, it's about rounds and going in for a time and cooling down and then going back. And you see how you're then bringing people, and it's more of a people thing than just a solace thing. It can be both.
True.
But there's camaraderie, there's friendship, there's all of those things.
And in these extremes, the thermal extremes, and thinking about the cold, there is comfort in going through a large hole in the ice that can support 10, 12 people, because there's that, that like, hey, we're in this, it's like hiking a mountain, right? No one's going to hike alone.
We're all doing it together.
Yeah. Cool. Is there something you want me to ask you guys for listeners to Sauna Talk? I mean, it's really a pleasure to have Canadians down to my hometown here of
Are we the
Minneapolis.
first Canadians to be on Sauna Talk?
Good question. I'm going to think on that one. I'm going to think on that. The first response I would guess would be yes, because I'm pausing to think of a few different guests that I've had that. I would say maybe the closest would be Alex from B Saunas USA. He's certainly not Canadian, but he's affiliated with B Saunas, a Canadian company. And when the last time we Sauna Talked, we could, if we were aggressive enough, we could do the backstroke to the shoreline of Canada. We jumped in the Niagara River, and I could see the Canadian shore. So and where I grew up, I mean, I joked last night with you guys that during the oil embargo of the 1970s, when I had a 72 Buick Skylark, I would actually go over the Peace Bridge from Buffalo, New York to get my gas, and it was much cheaper in Fort Erie. So I know a lot of Canadians, but never really, I don't think have had them on some talk. But,
one question I just thinking of, because I think we're in such a unique, we know that being a manufacturer, we're kind of in a unique space. There's a lot of sauna room builders. There's a lot of companies that are growing in that way. But there's not a lot of manufacturers of sauna heaters. And I think it's part of Sauna Talk and part of my knowledge in just digging in and to the community as well is kind of what role do you see that we play as this manufacturer or custodian to North American kind of built products? What kind of role do we play? Do you see?
Love the question. For me, the first word that comes to mind is integrity, and I just want to commend you guys for your integrity to this space, your commitment to it. It was a leading question in the cool down room about UL, are they the friend or the enemy in this? And I think your integrity shines through with this acknowledgement of your space in North America as a producer, as a maker. I would like to challenge the four of us in this hot room here, that maybe where we could go is a little bit more of a concerted effort toward advising, David, your experience as an electrician is for not my product over competitor X, Y, or Z, but for the industry at large, I would have to say in North America there is a hole there.
Yeah,
we're accepting what's being shipped in.
Yes,
and that's the way the landscape is today, and maybe there's something in that.
Yeah, and it's tough as we manufacture product, so whenever we say it, it sounds it always sounds like it has an angle, or it has we're trying to skew people one way or the other. But my honest feeling is that I want people to use a safe sauna. I want to have a good product out there that people then tell their friends, so more people use a sauna.
Yeah.
This is a health thing. It's not just a commodity. It's not a product, just
or
a
a
product,
luxury.
a luxury thing. This is something that can be for the average person. It doesn't need to be viewed in some people the way it's been viewed, and unfortunately, without wanting to go down too much of a rabbit hole, the industry is still flooded with product that is not, it's not engineered for the end user, it's engineered for a profit line. And that's, it helps someone's spreadsheet, it helps them with their sales at the end of the year, and it helps them sell their company, just to be frank, in a few years. Where
And come to the land of the wild frontier of opportunity.
in North America, I mean, Stu was saying, they did their certifications in 81. The certifications haven't changed since 81. I mean, how far has technology moved since 81? We're still certifying, and we certified to that standard. And in some ways it was even harder than it should be, but so it's a challenge to work with that, but the end goal is to make a safe product. Like we've had people that also sell other people's heaters, bring them into the shop just to show us, hey, this is how they're made. Like, what do you guys think? And I'm thinking of one. My jaw hit the floor when I saw it. I couldn't believe how bad it was.
Yeah.
But that's, again, it's allowed to be brought in and it's allowed to be sold.
Yeah, so I'd like to bring in the conversation. It was a great question, Kyle. I appreciate that. I would also offer that you say safety is maybe the tip of the spear of the hardware aspect, but I want to bring in the idea that hardware drives software, or software drives hardware, and I don't mean software in what we know as software in the whole technology side. I'm talking about performance. I think it's fantastic to start really distilling not me, but it's Kimo Ratio. He claims, the holy trinity of sauna, it's heat, steam, and ventilation, right? And from those pillars, heat, steam, and ventilation, we can really drill down into some of the performance aspects of good sauna. Because how many people do we know that don't like sauna because they say they feel claustrophobic, or they can't breathe, or they're getting headaches and stuff like that. That's all. You could call that hardware based, but I would call that performance or software based.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so these two kind of feed each other, right? The hardware service.
Because there's a that's like, people don't know, when we designed it here, we design it to a room. It's designed to the room, and it's certified to the room, to the space. So you can put a sauna heater in a lot of different spaces. Mm-hmm.
Did I hit that too hard for you guys?
That was
beautiful.
A great hit.
That was amazing.
I lost my train of thought.
Well, that's a good sign.
If the listener doesn't know, we are truly sauning.
Yeah. Glenn is making sure we are getting the full sauna experience.
Well, and this is sort of like the Chinese torture is like, can you answer? You can answer the question, but can you answer it with fresh hot?
Yes, exactly.
And now, can you? And that's just, this is the. Actually, I'm going to name check here. Out in Hawaii and Southern California, do you know the deep wave surfer Laird Hamilton?
Yes, yes.
And do you know what he calls his sauna?
I don't.
He and his wife Gabby. It's the truth barrel.
Oh.
So this is where we decipher the truth to the BS.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have time to come up with some nice poetic prose right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many, Kyle, I'm going to circle right back to you, but I just wanted to also chime in that so many great ideas have been fostered on the bench via Sauna Talk specifically. Yeah. And I think your question, to circle back, is fostering something. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of this other North America sauna stove maker in the north of Minnesota, Lamp Manufacturing by name, and I'm just so touched at the commonality of integrity between both of you guys. Mm-hmm. And my dream and goal is one day that you guys can sit on the bench together, because you each have so much in common about your integrity to the space as tip of the iceberg to many other things. But Kyle, please go ahead.
Well, no, that's something we inherited with the business. It was already in place. A great product that was reliable, that would run for a long time, etc., etc. I think the one thing the most that you said, heat, and that's our predominant responsibility as a heater manufacturer is that aspect. So that's a big focus of ours with even the Revive. And even if I didn't like all of what UL stipulates and I would like them to change, I'm bound to what they have put in place, because I do owe it to the end user that they're not more liable to buy my product and have it affect them in a negative way. But the heat and the construction and all those things, building a good heater that provides good heat and bringing it to its max kind of functionality, those are the things that no one sees behind the scenes when we're testing a heater.
And you have a variable in this, in that it's UL 875, 194 degrees above the thermal sensor. So that constraint, actually, I would say, argue is a blessing in disguise, because it's having you create a product with more lampo massa, this thermal mass piece, to work with that code. Yeah.
We didn't view in the design, it wasn't necessary. We didn't view it as a restriction, as a limiting factor. It was like, okay, this is what they're telling us, but let's build the best thing we possibly can, so that people can have the great experience and know it's safe, because it's got that UL sticker, and they know it's been tested and retested.
Yes, and now the second of the Holy Trinity, steam. We talk about this hot, dry, soft, wet, and the ability in this full spectrum toward, how many pounds of rock in the Revive?
It's 200, depends on the type of rock, but it will be a minimum 200 pounds of rock.
Yeah, and so you have this spectrum, this variability of rock temperature at the 194 serving temperature to create hot, dry, spicy steam that many like, and then that soft, wet that some prefer. Like we were talking about the Banya House out there. They like 140, 150 Fahrenheit.
A nice cruising temperature.
Have you heard about the law of 200? I don't know if it's a law.
Well, Kyle might have.
Yeah. Is it a law? I don't know if it's a law, or I kind of like that, and it's a Fahrenheit thing where, you take your internal hot room temp, call it 160, 170, say 170, and then we can introduce like 30% humidity in there and reaching 200 nirvana. Do you know about that one, Stu? The law of 200, or I don't know if it's a law, but the principle of 200, the accumulation of temperature and humidity percent?
I'm not
30-40%.
Yeah, 30-40%.
Yeah.
That's basically what I understand. So, we want the best at Homecraft. We want the best sauna experience for our customers. And that's what we build to.
So a lot of sauna talk. I'd like to introduce a thought. Is heat? In other words, you have the BTUs created through a wood-fired wood-fired sauna stove, versus the heat that's created through electrical elements that heat the rocks that way. Is heat, or do you think that there's a difference? And you mentioned, do you guys talk about this?
We talked about it in the shop, like in the office, quite a bit. So when we're designing the Revive, it was a big conversation piece. Why do the deep rock versus just something similar to what we had existing? Because, there's a lot of people that just, the elements are your heat source. So that's heat, that's your heat end of. But you have a practical side to it, or an in-person experience that tells you something different. That tells you there's something else here than just the elements burning off. Like if you throw water on an element, that spike is something.
So let me interject on that. I think we're going to talk about A, wood-fired, and then B, electric. B1 is electric, where when throwing water on the rocks, the water hits elements.
Yes.
And then B2 would be when you throw water on the rocks with an electrical heat or whatever, the water doesn't hit the elements or scorch them.
Yes.
And so I'd like to eliminate B1 for
Yeah.
sake of comparative.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about conductive heat through two different sources.
Yep.
Do you think there's a difference, or am I putting you guys on the spot? I mean, this is like 400 level sauna talk, because we could start getting into negative ions.
Yeah. Well, we're by no means are any of us scientists or engineers, but like I think there's something to be said about the experience. Like we've just experienced a wood-fired sauna, and I've been in another wood-fired sauna as well, and so that experience in that space, it has a different effect than let's call it B1 in our classic heaters,
Yes.
or like someone else's
Yeah.
low rock volume,
Right.
or in B2, which is like our Revive or these tower type heaters that are just by design, they provide a similar experience, but it's still a little different.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's something quantitative there that I don't have an answer to.
Right. And the easy answer is it's different because it smells different, or I like the look of the flame. But I want to take that out of the
Yeah,
equation.
yeah.
Imagine if I often, philosophize about this. It's like if you were blindfolded. Do you think if you were blindfolded and brought into, Stu, I'll ask you, if you were blindfolded and brought into two different saunas as close as possible in size and proportion and all that jazz, do you think you could feel a difference between wood-fired and electric?
It would depend on the rock capacity of the electric heater. Mm-hmm. So if that's one of the benefits of the wood-fired sauna heaters. They have a deep rock capacity. So when you put that water on the rocks, especially the last time you did it, almost blew me off the top bench.
Right. But okay. So now let's go back to the holy trinity of good sauna: heat, steam, and ventilation. Right. Okay. So we talked about ventilation, and I by the way, guys, I think we're on the cusp of some really cool shit about ventilation, specifically, because we're talking about the obvious difference. Well, instead of me yapping about it, wood-fired, you're pulling heat. You're pulling fresh air into the hot room.
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties with electric with ventilation is that there's more propensity for stagnant air because it doesn't conduct air the same way as a wood stove does. So we kind of feel those differences. But I think that when we talk heat is heat, we've moved to ventilation, but I guess my opinion on the heat is that I guess the deep rock, we're getting as close to the wood as you possibly can,
exactly.
because you're allowing to control the experience because through humidity and water and that type of heat that comes off, so you're kind of getting as close.
I think I'd like to take it to electrical for a second, but this might be helpful. So in when we calculate baseboard heaters for a room, it's just based off your room size, it's X amount of heat. That's what you're trying to do, and you could put the heaters however you want, but that's a stagnant air force. It's just a little heating coil it's not an airflow. But there are also baseboard style heaters that have a little fan that comes with it. And those heaters, they're way more efficient, and those heat a space way quicker, way more even.
Have you heard about the jazz trio of heat transfer?
No, I have not.
Well,
this is exciting.
This is a homework assignment. To search on the search bar of Sauna Times, just type jazz trio. Okay. And as I don't want to sound hubris at all in this one, but it's there's conduction. How heat transfers through conduction, convection, and radiation. The radiant. And so you're talking about a baseboard that has this little fan that's like really juicing up the convective movement.
Yes, the
of
movement
air.
of it.
Yeah. And to nerd out on that further, like this, when you talk about a lot of rock capacity, there's the conductive transfer being much
Yeah.
greater. So you're feeling that heat transfer into you through conduction, right?
Yeah.
And then the big argument is about his radiant. I don't even, I didn't want to. It just gets nauseating. But
we're not this nerdy, but
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is great. Like we could do this all this day, but somehow I don't feel this nerdy.
no, and but when you think about this mix, this like a jazz trio, like as you sit on the sauna bench, like you just don't get that in the classic old school health club.
Yeah.
Where no air is moving.
Yeah.
There's 9 rocks on top of these elements, so there's none of this conduction happening.
You don't get any conduction, and the venting piece is an interesting one for us. Like we try and encourage people to add
Totally
venting
Why?
into
Go
the
ahead.
space. The experience the experience is just better. Like it's just flat out. It's more comfortable in one way, and it's a more intense in another way.
Yeah.
Like it.
But you said it so well off microphone about air. What about air? The feeling of movement of air.
Yeah. So like if you're in a stagnant environment, you like you had a heat breeze into something, and all of a sudden it's like you're like, whoa, like it's really hot.
Yeah.
Versus if you're just kind of in a dead environment,
Yeah.
it's just
Stagnant.
it's just stagnant, and I don't know, like
Well,
I'm drawing a blank right
No,
now.
you're not. You're
but-
not. You're right onto it. It's like if you're going to cold plunge, and you can sit in this tank here, and then you build this sort of cocoon around your body.
Yeah, you can feel that. The cold plunge, that's a great example. You can feel the heat all of a sudden. You've got this little heat sense around you, but
Right.
you're in this cold thing. And in a stagnant environment, you all of a sudden you just kind of become in the space. But it's not like
Enriching.
it's not enriching. But versus if you have the air movement where you can feel the heat coming, kind of moving over you, it kind of pulls something else out of you.
Beautiful.
That is
Well done.
it's something. It's just totally different. I like you trying to quantify it for people, but
Yeah.
you don't want to sound woo woo
No.
and
Nor
crazy.
nerdy.
Yeah, and people kind of glaze over.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
like you really do want to have some good ventilation in your space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was a great sauna talk. I want to thank you guys for being a part of this whole journey to good sauna for others.
Honestly, thank you for having us
Thank you
in
for
your
having us.
in the space, putting us on the bench. I mean, we were excited. I was excited that like that's a Minneapolis or like a local product for you guys, and we get to see it and try it out, and that was a great sauna.
Thank
So,
you. Well, we're
yeah.
going to do another round, I
we
hope.
are, yeah.
And I want to bring this to a head with a couple rapid fire questions, like
Okay.
for each of you 3 guys, if you're cool with it. Is I think about Canada and such. I love this line of sauna and nature is bigger than all of us. I mean, nature is such a beautiful component of sauna. And Kyle, I'll start with you. If you could take a mobile sauna anywhere in the world and have a sauna, where would you like to go?
Well, for me, I lived overseas for so long. So for me, coming back home in British Columbia is so beautiful. Like I love it. It's been part of reconnecting. It's been part of just seeing the beauty around. So I would stay home.
Close to home.
Close to home. We're
Yeah.
gonna go to Whistler. We're gonna go by a stream, and we're gonna sit there, and we're gonna sauna, and then we're gonna jump in the stream. That's where I'm
Beautiful job. David?
Oh, I'm a BC boy. I love BC, but mine for me is the Sunshine Coast. It's the right by the ocean. We would have a spot. Me and my wife. That's where we'd go.
Stu?
I'd like to go to the mountain.
Okay.
We have great mountains in British Columbia, and if we could do a sauna on a mountain close to a lake, that would be amazing.
Perfect. And Stu, staying with you, if you could sauna with anybody in the world, dead or alive, past or present, who is the first person that comes to mind that you would like to sit on the bench with? Could be someone close to your heart. There's no right answer on this one.
No, I'm a family guy. I'd want to sauna with my family.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You stole my thunder there. No, I was gonna say so. I was gonna say my mom.
How do I say Wayne Gretzky after all that? Like, come on, people. But like, so, you know, family's important, and there's a lot of other things that are important. You know, and then I come up with Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. All right, staying with you, Kyle, on this one is you wake up, you know you're going to sauna, like from that moment to when your sauna session's over and you go to bed at night. What is your favorite moment of sauna? You know, is it is there a time during the process that you're like, this is great, even just the thinking or the doing?
I like the anticipation. Mm-hmm. I actually like turning it on, and like so we're electric, right? So I love turning it on, waiting, and then that experience. But I also love the experience of my favorite experience this summer was cold dipping after the sauna with my daughter in the ocean. That was pretty cool.
David.
It would be right around now as we're about to go back in after you've done the cool down, and that first experience back in. When you just get that first wave of heat again, is just can't be beat.
Yeah, that's the climax of the sauna experience.
The stepping back in after
a cool down.
Right on, brother. I like that.
Yeah.
Stu, what do you think is last question for you guys. Thanks for being here. What do you think is most misunderstood about sauna? I'm putting you on the spot here, but let's add up these decades. 40. We're talking about 60 years, right?
The wisdom.
For you. Yeah. What this is a platform that other people can listen to and share with others. What would you like to say that is most misunderstood about sauna today?
People think it's like a torture chamber or something, but the sauna is a place that it's a refuge. It's a place where I can go and just shut out the world and revive myself, and that's why we call our heater line Revive, because you are revived after the sauna. So it's a misconception that it's so ripping hot in there, I'll never survive it. But you make a product that's perfect for that environment, and it's a beautiful experience.
Biggest misconception. There's a couple big ones. I think would kind of jump on with Stu there, that the people want to use it as a test of manliness, or it's a challenge, the kid bench and the man bench, and I sit on the man bench only, whereas it's this thing that can be so restorative to you, and you can disconnect from all the other distractions you have, and it can be something you can do with your family. The meditative, the spiritual, the enriching nature of it, I think that's what people miss out on the most.
Thank you. Yeah. Kyle, I'll let you take it out. What is most misunderstood that you sense out there about sauna?
It's kind of hard to, maybe it's not a misconception on my end. What comes to my mind is the sauna's connection, because even if you're alone, you're connecting to self. When you're with others, you're connecting with others. It's that place of connection. That's the positive side of it. That's what I love.